All right, so it looks like I'm live. Hello, everybody. Okay. Let me just make sure that I am live. Oh, yeah, I can see all the comments here. Let me just put the volume down. Sorry, guys. I have a totally new setup today. Something I purchased actually last night and set it up. And also, you see, I matched my shirt, whatever you call it, jersey, to the frame of my video here. See, it's the same color. So I saw that shirt yesterday in the store, and I said, "Wow, that fits that frame that I want to put." But actually, I want to put a different frame. I think you will let me know in your comments which one is nicer. Yeah, I like that one better, actually. So you tell me which one is nicer. All right. Let me see. Okay. So what the change is, really, is that I can now talk to the camera because I managed to get one of those, you call it teleprompters, but I don't have text to read from. What I use it for is I actually put my screen that normally I would look sideways like this to look on my screen, to look on the settings, to look on my picture, to look on anything, on your comments. But now I brought everything to this screen, which sits in front of the camera, and it's actually transparent. So I can actually look at everything and look at the camera. So it looks like I'm like a genius, right? And I set it up last night, and it seems to work, so it's all good. I had to source the software for it and everything. I finished by midnight last night, and here I'm ready for you. So let's give you a quick update here on the focus group. We have, I think, 39, 40 people that signed up for it. And we will be doing it after this live at 12:30. I guess normally we finish the live somewhere between 12 and 12:20. So it's kind of tight, but I don't mind. And yeah, I've never done a group meeting on Zoom. I always do one-on-one, so that will be very interesting. Yeah, so today's topic, let me bring this beautiful picture on the screen here. So really what I want to talk about is I'm trying to come up with the best way. You know, I always try to simplify everything and bring it to you in a way that with metaphors and examples, so that is easy to understand. Because what I talk about usually, I always understand it, but not everybody does. Not because of you, because of me. If I don't explain it properly, then you don't understand it properly. And yeah, so you see, I want to talk for a minute about this course, meditation course called Vipassana. And I don't know how many of you know this, but I will tell you what it's all about, because what I want to teach you here uses the same principles. It's a totally different thing, but uses the same principles, and they are proven. You know, Vipassana actually runs all over the world, and there's tens of thousands of people that go through it every year. Like I said, almost everywhere in the world, like wherever you go, there is Vipassana. They have a center, and they offer those courses, 10 days meditation. And what Vipassana is all about, I'll give you some background. It started, I think, in Tibet, then it actually moved to India, and it became extremely successful in India. It's the same Tibetan guy that started it. Sorry, I have Mikhail here. I'm going to ask him. What was his name? Do you remember? Fonka? Tonka? Gonka. Okay. Mikael is sitting here with me, but he's on his computer watching us in a different room, so we don't get feedback. But he will be in the Zoom meeting. All right, so Gonka, he started this whole thing. He passed away, I think, 2 or 3 years ago. Amazing, amazing person, him and his wife. And what they did, they came to the conclusion, understanding that certain things that happen to us are not controllable by the mind or common sense or logic or anything like that. And for example, you know, somebody who is hot-tempered, right? And they get upset, they will pull a gun or pull a knife and kill somebody. Now, they know that they, you know, depending where they live, they will be either executed or go to jail for life. They know all that. Like, you don't, you know, it's not like they forgot, right? But they still do it. So what happened? What happens is that they don't, they lose, you can call it they lose their mind at that moment. The anger, the rage overcomes the common sense. And they could be super intelligent. They could be, you know, a professor at the university. It doesn't make any difference. And what Vipassana does, they teach you to control these things through your body rather than through your mind. Because the rage comes in your body, you know, it's like fear. When something scares you, say you walk in the forest like I did, and there is a cougar all of a sudden in front of you, right? You feel it in your body, you don't feel it in your mind. Your body feels it first, like it's this fear, this whatever, usually in your stomach somewhere, or it could be anywhere in your chest, and your reaction would be controlled by the body, not by the mind, by your instincts, by you know, your mind. At that point, basically, very few people can actually calculate what they're gonna do or whatever. You deal with it out of an instinct. So what Vipassana does over the 10 days that you spend there, they teach you, they teach you basically to scan your body continuously and look for any feelings or any discomfort or anything that runs in your body, right? And focus on it and learn how to say to yourself, hey, you know, this is coming, this is going, it's going to disappear. Like, you don't let it pull you into a rage or into that spiral where you're going to end up, you know, in jail for your life. And this is, I think, what Vipassana is all about. What I want to teach you today, like I said, uses the same principles, but it's a different thing. So, as I showed you in that picture on the earlier, I'll show you in a minute another picture. First, I'll describe it to you, and maybe it's easier if I actually put that picture back here. Okay, so you see, in every situation that we run into in life, and I'm not talking now about rage or anything, but in every situation, let's say it could be a medical thing, it could be something that happened. You hear all the news that somebody got run over, and it's exactly where somebody you know that is close to you was, and your mind right away, oh, that must be that person, and then you develop all those scenarios, right? You know, maybe he's dead, maybe this, maybe that, and you build all those assumptions because they're all assumptions because of where it started. It started on the left side here in the picture, right? It's all the bad stuff. So you always, your mind, it's a subconscious, it's programming, call it whatever. So in some ways I want to also teach you how to overcome your subconscious and your programming, because this is the first thing that comes to mind. I'll give you an example. You know, I live in a house, and you know, I have neighbors on both sides. The homes are quite close to each other, and you know, I live here like over 20 years, and you know, when the kids were growing in the neighborhood here, so sometimes they would have a really noisy party, like at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, And other times I had a bear or a raccoon. I have a gate and a fence right like outside my bedroom window. And they would shake that gate and I would wake up and like I would be in a shock because I woke up and I hear this terrible noise and I don't know what it is. And another time the police showed up here at 4 o'clock in the morning. I think I told you the story in one of my videos because my car was stolen and they started banging on my window because they thought I committed suicide. Somebody left my car on a bridge running with the key in because I left the keys in the car. And the police came over at 3 o'clock in the morning and they thought that I'm dead because I jumped off the bridge, right? Because it's a really big bridge and the car was in the middle lane, top of the bridge, running. Door open, keys in, and no driver. So anyway, so they eventually arrived at my home and they were panicking, banging on every wall and every window to see if I'm alive. So all these things got programmed into my subconscious, into my memory. So what happens now, when I sleep and there is either a noise of the gate or something similar, I would wake up and my heart starts racing and then I have a hell of a time falling asleep again because of that program that my subconscious brings that memory that what happened at that time. And what I figured, the way to get rid of it, and it happens with people. Certain people will trigger you just by seeing them, right? Or they talk or they do something and it triggers you. So coming back to this picture here is, let me just replace it with another one. So you see, make two lists. Take two notebooks, put one on your left and one on your right. Because the beginning of the training, you have to start it physically on paper or on something that and write down on the left, like I wrote here, I am a loser. This is impossible. I am too old to do that. This trip is going to be a nightmare. First the general things, like the first three are general, and then specifics, right? Like if you're going on a trip or you're going to meet somebody and so on, right? And then on the right, write the things that overcome them. It's similar also to that letter I taught you to oh, sorry, my fireplace was running, making noise here. The letter I was that you write to yourself and read it to yourself aloud every day 2 or 3 times. This is very similar, but this you need to program it into your mind so that on the right list, like you physically bring and have like big notebook on your right and one on the left. And you make that list on the right and you put in there, rather than I'm a loser, I make a list of your accomplishments, the main ones in your life. Like I built this company, I sold this, I made this, I married the greatest, woman and I have the greatest kids. Like put things that are positive in there. If something is impossible, write down all the things that were impossible and you made them possible, right? I hear myself from somewhere. Let me just silence this. Okay, sorry. And then try to memorize the things that are on the right. The left side, leave it fuzzy. You don't have to memorize it. But remember that this is always on the left and this is always on the right. And eventually, maybe after a day or a week, I don't know how long it takes you, try to bring that vision of the two notes into your mind. So you don't need those notes. Just like in that picture that I showed you earlier, right? This lady here. Bring it into your mind. And remember, there is the right and there is the left. And whenever you run into any situation, your mind will go to the left. That will be the instinct. This is how the mind works. It's always negative. It's always trying to find the worst case scenario. Right? If there is a symptom somewhere, then the mind is trying to figure out that this is like the worst illness and the worst torture, death that's going to happen to us. It's just how the mind works. And then take your mind instantly after it goes there, take it to the right. And visualize, I lost the word. Visualize what is on your right page, on your right list. Just visualize it, and you will see that over time, you will automatically switch there, and you will not run into this negative, dangerous spirals where you just, because once you go there, and you start with one thought, like I'm a loser, for example. If you start with that, because somebody rejected you or you didn't pass the interview or whatever. And the first thing that comes on your mind, I am a loser. Then from that loser, it will spiral, oh, I screwed up this and I screwed up this, and now I'm too old and I cannot succeed anymore. And this is it. And now I'm going to be like on the street, I will become homeless. And it's a spiral that goes like very, very deep to the center of the earth. And if you can click out of it before it starts to spiral, just by going to the right one, I don't know if you can see my cursor here, maybe not. By going to the right one, your mind can only think about one thing at a time. So it can either think about I'm a loser or about my accomplishment. It cannot think about both. So snap out of it and go to that imaginary right side list that you have. And you will see this works magic. It's an amazing system. I use it now. And just like Vipassana taught me to control my body reactions, this taught me to control my mind reactions. All right. So I will come back here. So how do you like my frame? Actually, maybe I should use the green one so it matches the shirt for today. Where is it? There. Okay. I made some notes here on that screen that I'm looking at, and I'm just trying to see if it works. Okay. Now I have another trick here. Finally, I made it work, is that I can put your comments, hopefully, on the screen as well. Let me see. Comments. Okay, there we go. So now we can, and I can actually bring, let's see if I can do that. If I bring it on that little screen, but then, I can do it there. Then I can actually look at you and look at the comments. Nice. Okay. Let me do this. I'll bring the comments here. Okay, so hello, Margaret. Hello, Chris. How is Germany today? How was your day there? How was Sunday? I guess now it's already evening. Here we have a relatively nice day. It's partly sunny and the temperature is around 8 or 9 degrees, which is great. Hello, MC. Yeah, now I don't have to click on it, actually. You can see it. Witty Mystic. Angel Hands. Are you here?
I'm here.
That's funny. Agafia. Italiano. Sojourner House. I have a problem pronouncing this one. All the Sonke. Let's have fun. Well, we always have fun. The human mind, in most cases, when given the choices and think to myself, it is default negative. Yeah, and it's strange. I don't know why that is. I guess this is how we were created. Happy Sunday. Hello, Manuela. Michael, she says, nice to see you.
Yes.
Oh, you saw that. Okay. Danielle. Yeah, I am super excited too. Thank you, Sonke. Thank you. Yeah, well, I'm trying to make some difference here. I am a type of a person that cannot stay in the same status quo for too long. Like I get depressed. I need to change. I need a change. And I always teach that this is how we were created. We need a change. Otherwise, we cannot be happy. Hello, Tiffany. You have lots of energy, Tiffany. Use it. You love the second one. Yeah, I know. The second one is nicer. I just put this one for my shirt because I want to justify me buying it. But I'm going to use the other one permanently because I really like it. I'll show you also what's behind it because really it's another picture and my picture is over it and I just leave the edges off. So really what it is, let's see if I can show you. What it is, I don't know how I can do it, but let's see. Yeah, you know what, I will not do it now. It's too complicated because everything right now is new, so if I lose something, I'll have a hard time to come back. But in essence, it's an amazing picture behind that. If I took me and the comments off the screen, you would see it. All right. The colorful one. Yeah, good. I like that. That means that I had a good choice. Cape Town. Clint. How are you, Clint? Lori. Sami Guribi. You know, it's time we should talk, Sami. I missed you. Life Explorist. Hello there. My daughter in Texas having good time with grandbaby. Wow. Visiting my daughter in Texas. That's nice. This is the nicest times. You don't need brain control for that one. The brain, in that case, becomes positive by itself. Elegantnaya. Hello, Sabrina. How do you get the meeting ID? I'll send it to you after we finish this live. I actually sent it to everybody by email. I think I sent it to you too. Look in your email. Maybe it went to the junk folder, but I did send an email to everybody with the link. But if you guys missing the link, I will let me know here and I'll send it to you. It's basically a mental diet, says MC. Focusing on all the good for a while and becomes automatic. Oh yeah, in essence, yeah. But when you have a tool, it's like when I was showing you again in one of my videos the opening stance or the first, like in martial arts. You know, you fight, and you always go back to your opening position. I think they call it opening stance or something. Because if you keep fighting, you get lost in there. So you always have to come back to that opening position and then you are ready, right? And this is the same idea. You want to bring yourself back to the positive stance and go from there. It's simple things, but they can make a hell of a difference. You know, when I was younger, I used to get those rages, and I'm paying the price till this day for it, big time. So, you know, especially with the kids. Nice. Elegantnaya. Oh, there you go. Now we have some people with experience that say that it works. Great. Mark, I did get your message. I didn't reply to you just because I was getting ready for this live here, so I didn't really have time, but I did get the message, and the fact that you are here means that you have power, I guess. Yeah, it's amazing how we take things for granted. Like, Mark here, he lives in South Africa, Johannesburg, is it? And, because of infrastructure problems and management problems, I guess, they don't have enough power for all the residents of South Africa, or Johannesburg, and they shift power failures. They're basically rotating power failures continuously because they cannot have everybody on at the same time. So they never know when the power is going to go off, and then I guess, like, if I didn't have power here, I don't even want to imagine, like, nothing would work. I would have no heat, no hot water, no internet, no light. you know, no, you name it. I actually installed a little generator here, but because our power failures, you know, if we get one, it's going to be one in maybe 3 years, and it's not very long usually. But like I said, we take things for granted, and you know, people have issues that to us we can't even imagine. They don't exist. Yeah, well, I hope they fix it eventually, Mark, and you know, I know you love the country and you're not going to move out of there, so they need to fix it for you. Hello, Sarah. How to stay positive when you have someone who is threatening you, suing, etc. Well, you know, it's, you know, what I'm going to say has probably been said many, many times, but it's not what people do to you, it's how you react to it that really has the effect on you, right? It's not what people do. Because I'll give you an example. If you were, you know, talking to somebody who you have absolutely no respect for, and you don't really appreciate what they say, it's just comes in and goes away, and they said something about you which is really bad, it wouldn't upset you that much. But on the other hand, if that was somebody that you respect and you know, and you feel for that person, and they told you that, it would ruin your day, your week, your month, maybe your whole year. So that's the first thing. You have to realize that your reaction is what counts. So how you react to this whole thing, right? As far as threatening, I don't know if you are familiar with reality transurfing, but in reality transurfing, you know, there is this whole issue of importance, like how much importance you give to it. And this is how big it's going to actually become physically. It's, you know, they talk about pendulums there too. So if you start to dance with that pendulum, it's just going to become worse and worse and worse. And it's against the intuition, again, that if you don't interact with it too much, it will go away in ways that you cannot expect, like importance and the interaction with it. Because the fact that they are suing you and threatening you, it doesn't mean that they will get what they want, right? And this is a perfect example of those two lists, because you can look on one side and go into all the worst case scenarios, right? When you will have no money and really it goes all the way down to really miserable life in your imagination. Or you can go the other way and say, you know, he's not going to win, you know, there's absolutely no chance. And or you can say, well, you know, I will maybe have a compromise. Whatever. You have to come up with the positive things. You know, I'll say something here that I normally don't talk about it, but some years ago I separated, I divorced, and my wife, like, I don't want to say who is right, who is wrong, it doesn't matter. Well, the court actually decided. So she went to court and she was suing me for money. And let's say she was suing me for X $1,000 a month, let's say, right? And you know, when I received the papers, I actually got the flu instantly. That's a topic for another video, like how it affects your health, right? All these things, like negative stuff. I got the flu the same evening. I was served the papers in the afternoon. In the evening, I was sick like a dog. So obviously, that was kind of very threatening for me at that time. But you know, at the end of the day, it went to court, and I wasn't even there. I had a lawyer go there. And my wife had a lawyer, which was a real, I want to say it, asshole, like a really bad guy. And I had a lawyer, a beautiful soul. And you know what happened? The lawyer called me from the courthouse and he said, the judge ruled that not only you will not pay, but she will pay you retroactively for 6 months that same amount from now on and 6 months back. Okay? So you may say, oh, so you had a good case. It doesn't matter. I didn't have such a good case. But what happened, just so you know that I'm not such a bad person, I basically used that to sign an agreement that we don't sue each other anymore because she had enough money. We separated. I just sold the company. There was no problem of money. Anyway, all I wanted to tell you, Sarah, is that things are not the way they look. And you have to take the positive attitude and things will become positive because you create your reality. All right. I love this topic, Shlomo. I just made a podcast episode about this 2 weeks ago. It was a channeling called Stop Assigning Meaning to Thoughts and Events. I'm so happy we are on the same page. Actually, we are literally on the same page right now. Okay, Sabrina, I'll send you the link when I'm done here because I'll be done at least half an hour, 20 minutes before. Angel Hands, Michael. So I know Michael. He did 8 of the. Wow, 8 in your 20s. It gave me tremendous tools and strength. Yeah, and it shows today. Yeah, I would very, very highly recommend. I did 2 of them, 16 years apart, and it opens up a different section of your brain that otherwise never opens. Like you learn things that you would have never learned otherwise. There's no way. It's not easy though. Because for 10 days there, you're not supposed to talk to anybody, to look at anybody, and you go to sleep at 9, wake up at 4. You cannot eat after 12. It's a tough one. Eddie, how is New Zealand, Eddie? What are you hoping to accomplish long term with the focus group? That's a good question. I never think long term though. I am a short term person. Everything for me is like tomorrow. After tomorrow, I say, in Hebrew we have a saying God is great. Maybe in Arabic too. He will figure out what's going to be after tomorrow. But the reason for the focus group is because I love people. And I find that the only way to grow in life, to grow and expand and I'll talk about that in a minute, to expand your ability to absorb and experience life is by interacting with other people. You cannot do it by yourself. Because just like Vipassana, I said, taught me all the things that my brain otherwise would never even realize they exist, the same goes for people. Every person, it doesn't matter who they are, can bring something up that will open another balloon in your brain. And life is all about those balloons, about those new experiences. This is what life is all about. There's nothing else in life. If you do the same thing, you go every day to the office at 9 and come back at 5 and watch TV and play with the kids and go to sleep, this is not life. Okay, because you lived it already for one day. Why do you need to live it again? It's a waste of time. And I find that, like I said, people are the most amazing or the only amazing thing that you can have experiences and expand your horizons and get excited. You can only do it with people on many levels, whether it's, on an intelligent level, a romantic level, any kind of a level, right? It's only with people. You cannot get the same. We try to duplicate that by having a pet and so on, but you can never have that. You can only have it with people. So this YouTube channel is great, but I miss that interaction, like to see the person, to see their face, to hear their voice. And I think that I have a lot to contribute as well. You know, people that I meet and I talk to usually walk away with something they didn't have before. So my intention, and I don't know, long term, short term, it doesn't matter, is to create that with the people in the group. Because by having this live interaction and being able to explore things deeper, one-on-one, provided they interest the rest of the people, it can bring growth, better life. Like, you know, I could make a list of 20 things here, how good that would be. There is always the issue of, you know, that people have to be interested in the same topic. But I think that people that come here to this channel usually are already kind of channeled, you know, in a way, I don't want to say filtered, but, you know, you get people who are interested in what I'm talking about. And it makes it easier in the group. So I don't know if I answered your question, Eddie, but I also, you know, like I always teach, you know, you have a goal, don't plan it. Because when you start to think about long term, this is like planning something. And I don't plan, you know, I just throw it up there. And I take the first step, the second step, which was set up the meeting. I set up a website with registration. I send, you know, and then let's see how it works. So that's my approach. You know, I know that you are very calculated. You know, we talked a few times, and you are a genius that way. And I'm not like that. I don't calculate stuff. You know, I have no clue what's going to happen next month, where I'm going to be, or what's going to be in my life. I really don't know. I just go with the flow. Kambiz, when are we going to talk about pulling that string to change the reality? Actually, I did talk about it, and maybe again I didn't explain myself maybe properly. But the trigger that I was talking about that will change reality is when people understand what this reality is. Because if you don't understand what this reality is, you see, this reality can only be changed by physical triggers. It can only be changed by action. Going back to my, you know, big picture, God, reality, and all that, how that works is that the programmer created this whole reality that we are in, so that all the actions and interaction and everything that happens here is physical. The reason being that the programmer comes from a non-physical reality, which was nothing, still is nothingness. So this whole thing, like in the Kabbalah, it says that God built an apartment down low, so he can go and stay there. So he can leave his apartment up there and come stay in the apartment down low, meaning that God wants to experience this reality. So what that means, that in order to change this reality, you cannot count on the programmer that he will change it for you. You got all the tools to change it by yourself. And those tools have to start with an action. Okay? And in my video that I think is called the Infinity Paradox, what I was trying to do, and I think that I will have to revisit that because I don't think really it was understood what I thought that I transferred my knowledge, my theory there, but it looks like I didn't, or at least not to most people. And what I was saying there is that if you analyze this reality and you, according to how I explained it in the video, you will come to the conclusion that this reality is not possible. Physical reality cannot exist. Infinity cannot exist. It's a state which cannot exist. It can be only presented virtually, but it cannot exist in a physical way. Okay? And when you absorb that, when that actually gets into your mind and you understand it, and you, and I don't know what the word would be, you can actually wrap your mind around it, you will realize that the reality you live in is actually a simulation. Again, not a computer simulation, but it can only exist virtually. And once you understand that, once enough people understand it, you will also understand that that implies that there has to be a programmer. It's part of this thing. It cannot be any other way. And when enough people understand that, reality will change. Okay? And this is really where I'm aiming. I took a 6 months break here. 6 months that I was dealing only with practical stuff. But I'm going back there, like I said, I think last Sunday, I kind of clarified that. Okay, I don't know if I just rambled here, if it was clear. But if you watch my the chapter 1 of the From Nothingness to Infinity, and then the other video, the 4 boundaries, and then the third one, which is the Infinity Paradox, and if you will be able to get into my mindset and follow with that, you will understand it. All right. Hello from Germany. I actually looked at your picture today on my computer. I don't know why. It came up somehow. The World Money Magician. You are very welcome, Sarah. You can talk to me if if you need to. You can talk to me one-on-one, and I can probably give you some more specific ideas, because I was very general with that. I have failed in everything I have tried till now. How to be positive? I'll give you an answer here. It's funny because I was actually going to bring it as a topic in the focus group today. So look, part of the problem that you keep failing is because you are failing. You know, it's a self-fulfilled prophecy. It's like in many things, whether you play card or you gamble or whatever you do, when you start to fail, when things go against you, it basically creates the same situation again and again. It's very hard to break that loop. And this is where you are. You are in that loop. And usually, what we would think is, just like I showed in my, where is it here? Yeah, I got too sophisticated a control room here. I'm getting really advanced in my, all right. So just like I showed here, what happens after you fail once or twice, you start to accept all the things that are on the left here. I'm a loser, this is not possible, I'm either too old, or I'm too this or too that, I'm too stupid. And in order to get out of there, I showed you earlier how not to get in there, but to get out of there is a different process. It comes back to what I just talked about this philosophy that we are in this simulation or What you have to ask yourself is, if you went to an amusement park, I don't know if you have them down there in India, if Disney or whoever brought them down there, I'm not sure. But if you go to one of those amusement parks, like Disneyland or Disney World or Lego World, or there's many of those, right? So let's say you went there for a couple of days, right? So now you paid for the trip. It cost a fortune, like you have to fly down there, You have to, go into a hotel, and usually those hotels down there are the super rip-off. They take advantage of you because you have no other choices, and restaurants, everything is extremely expensive. But you went there despite all these things because you wanted to experience everything they have there, right? The different rides, the different shows, the different exhibitions, and so on and so on. So now, when you arrive there, like you have two choices. You can either say, you know what, I'm just going to sit in my hotel room. I'm not really interested. I don't feel like it. And you're going to spend 2 days in the hotel room and go back. Or you can say, listen, I spend all this money, all this time, all this effort, and I came here. I want to actually experience every single thing that is here as much as I can. Maybe I won't be able to experience all of them, but as many as I can, right? And life is the same way, Now, those rides in the amusement park, it's not all positive. Just like life is not all positive. So when you fail, you have to look at it as a ride in that amusement park called life. It's much better than if you didn't fail. Because if you didn't do anything and didn't fail, your life would be way more miserable. So if you look at it from that perspective, and you don't take the failures as a negative, black, whatever, but you take them as part of your experience in the amusement park called life. It will change your attitude, because as long as you look at those failures and you call them failures, because I'm sure that they are not all failures. You probably learned a lot and you did lots of things inside those failures that were not failures. Maybe the whole end result was a failure, right? But in the process, you learned a lot, and there are probably some winnings as well. If you start to look at it that way and not let that failure thing sit on your mind and paint everything in black so that you cannot succeed anymore, this is one way to get out of it. You have to think about life. Like, what is life? Like, what? So if they were all successes, so what? You will still be at the same age, in the same place. Like, you would have different experiences, but they are just different. All right, we'll move on here. Act like a positive person. Yeah, well, that's the key, right? But it's very hard because you already forgot how to be positive. Thank you, Witty Mystic. I like the word tenacity. Sarah, I told the story, I think last week or the week before, but I'll say it again just for you. I met a friend some years ago in a party, like in the evening at somebody's home. And that particular friend is a millionaire. He's quite a rich guy. And he looked really miserable. And I said, what's wrong? Like, why are you so, I read faces, so I could sense right away it's something really wrong in his life. And he says to me, I'm in court now for a year with this idiot, he borrowed $40,000 from me, and now he says that he didn't, and he won't return, whatever. It was about $40,000, and he was in court for, I don't know how many months, going in and out, and lawyers and all that, and he couldn't sleep at night. And I said, Peter, you're a millionaire. Like $40,000 doesn't make a difference in your life. Why are you fighting for it? Like, what's the point? Just walk away from it. And he started crying. And he hugged me and he said, you know what? I didn't think about it. So there you go. And this is real. This is a real story. Eddie, why did you put a question mark there? I don't know. We had devastating floods in Auckland in the last week, but thankfully my area was safe. I'm curious, what is the Kabbalah, and would you recommend for someone to study it? Well, for somebody from outside of traditional Judaism, it would be just like any other philosophy, like the Kabbalion or whatever, right? Because you will look at it. The Kabbalah is extremely powerful for people that also study all the things around it. Because the Kabbalah really is a mystic interpretation of the Torah, of the Old Testament, mostly of the five books of Moses. And it takes it into a more practical, more emotional, spiritual realm. And it tries to explain, the Kabbalah is basically the same thing I'm doing in many ways. It tries to explain what this reality is and what God is. But it explains that sometimes we actually cross paths, the Kabbalah and me. But this is what the Kabbalah does. So if you want to get another angle or another perspective on reality, the Kabbalah is great. But like I said, it's based on the Torah. So it's not going to mean the same thing to you like it means to somebody who is a religious Jew and knows all the Torah and Talmud and all the different other teachings and books that exist in Judaism. But, it's free. Have a look at it. It has some amazing wisdom. Mark, how have you learned to deal with your ego, Shlomo? You seem to have an extremely healthy ego. Your openness is rare. You know what? You are a good character analyzer. And not only are you right, but you are right like in a big way. My ego cost me a lot in my life. And I say it was because I'll tell you in a minute what happened. But it also brought me, into many good places. So, but yes, I was the type of a person, I have a good friend. He's actually into Kabbalah big time. He's very religious. He's an Orthodox Jew. And, he used to invite me because he's a rabbi. So they invite people into their homes for dinner, Sabbath dinner, for lunches. And they always have a big setting and they invite 10, 15, 20 people and there's always discussions, right? And I never had patience for people. I would cut them short and say, you are an idiot. You don't know what you are talking about. And eventually, his wife said, don't invite Shlomo here anymore. So this is how big an ego I had. I would tell somebody, like, this is in a religious setting with all rabbis and religious people, right? And somebody would start giving me a lecture why I don't keep kosher, or I don't do this, I do that. And I would say to them, I said, all you do is just repeat what's written in the books. Can't you come up with something of your own? And that would be a huge insult. But I couldn't, I couldn't help myself. Really what happened, two things happened. Number one, I like I said many times in my videos, that I went through a personal crisis in 1994. And that chopped, I would say, about 30% of my ego. And then the other 70% that became 100% now, about 6-7 years ago, I was walking up the mountain, which I used to do every day. Now I do it every couple of days. And this was kind of a meditation for me. And somehow, I cannot explain it. It's just like in the Matrix when Neo learned Jiu-Jitsu, right? They downloaded Jiu-Jitsu and all of a sudden he knew the art. The same thing happened to me. I was downloaded something into my brain, my mind, out of the blue, that showed me, how people that are in life-threatening situations, sometimes they see their whole life passing in front of their eyes, like in few seconds. I saw in few seconds all the things that my ego did to me and how heavy it is to carry. Like everything was shown to me in 5 seconds. And I was like in awe. I was standing there. I could not believe it. I said, wow, am I carrying this thing all the time now? It's like they took my ego, separated from me, and put it in front of me and said, look at this thing. And you know what? That took another 80 or 90% of the 70% that was left from the first incident. So this is why I am so tamed today. And, you know, I'm very happy it happened. But, yeah, thank you for that question. Okay, the 3 videos, there is like I think my YouTube channel. I don't visit my YouTube channel lately. That's not good. I only respond to the comments through my email, but I don't. But it's divided into some sections. And one section is called the From Nothingness to Infinity. And in this section, you will find there is a preface, which you should watch. It's very interesting. I use a metaphor there of this sealed clock that somebody took to outer space. It's a very interesting metaphor. And then there is part 1 of the From Nothingness to Infinity. I think there is part 1 there. So that those 2 videos. Then the second video I would recommend you watch is the 4 boundaries. I think it's also under the same section. It's called the 4 boundaries of our reality. And if it's not called that, you will see in the description, it will say that. And the third one is the infinity paradox. And the 3 of them make actually my whole story, if you can connect it. You know, I didn't maybe make it clear enough, but everything is there. All right, checking in. DWS2534. Okay, I'm sure that's very meaningful to you, but I don't know what it means, but I always know there is a human behind, doesn't matter what it says here. And I love humans, so it doesn't matter. And I'm saying it in a positive way, not in a negative way. Roger. Hi, Shlomo. I don't want to detract you from the conversation. You don't detract me. I'm here to actually talk to you. But is there any way to sign up to the focus group? Yes, there is. You know what? I will actually post.
I put the meeting ID in the passcode there.
Oh, there you go. Okay. Okay. I couldn't do it while I'm talking to you, but Mikhail just, yeah, you can be a moderator here. It would be fantastic. He put the link actually to the passcode, but you can actually put the whole link, you know. If you already did that, I may as well put the link. You know what? In the description of this video, as soon as I finish it, I will put the link there. So just go to the description 5 minutes or 10 minutes after we finish the video, and you can copy the link and just click on it, and you will be inside the meeting. All right. So let me see. Is there anything else here? Well, I'm not showing you the comment. That's not good. So let me bring the comments on screen here again. And yeah, so that was, yeah, sorry, I switched and I forgot to bring the comments. So this was the last comment here actually from Roger. And I don't see any more questions here. We have some latency or delay. So when I say something, it only takes a minute or 2 before you hear it. So I'll wait here another 2 minutes, see if there is any other questions. Yeah. I don't know how we'll do it in the future. Maybe we will combine the Zoom and the live. We'll see. We'll see how the Zoom meeting goes. Yes, I just want to show you one more thing about environment, as I always do. And that's not a happy thing, but I saw it in The Economist this week. And, you know, just like I told the magician that, you know, good and bad, these are all experiences of life. Yay, Michael. There also, when talking about environment, not everything is happy. Hopefully at some point it will be. This one is very unhappy, but I'll show it to you. Okay. Environmental. So this is the thing here. And if the writing is too small, I'll read it to you. It says, "Not everything is great in the polar bear realm. This starving polar bear mother and her 2 young cubs hadn't eaten anything in a long time, since the ice melted sooner than before. Due to the extreme starvation, the mother's milk has dried out long ago, and 2 days after this photo was taken, we heard reports that both cubs died. This image is a testimony of climate change's impact." Yeah, so that's, again, coming back to what we can do, because everything has to be at the end of the day, it has to be practical. We have to, this world is physical. That's what the Kabbalah says, by the way. Let me just come back to the comments here. Yeah. The link, okay. Are you posting the link here or Tiffany? Okay, so coming back to the environmental issue is that, like I said, you have to. It's not enough that you drive an electric car, which, by the way, I do, and I enjoy it very much. It's way nicer than this is one of those occasions where helping the environment actually is a lot of fun. Usually it's the other way around, right? You have to eat cabbage and carrots and stuff like that or whatever, and here you actually have lots of fun enjoying an electric car, and you help the environment. Yeah, in a minute I'll answer that. So, you can do things by yourself, but the most important one is to actually try and influence the government or larger groups and so on, because this is where, just like Elon Musk, right? He came up with this electric car, a luxury electric car, and he proved that it can be done, and look, he changed the world, right? Like, we have almost 10% electric cars here in Vancouver. That's amazing. And this is only in the last 2-3 years. What is the difference? Internal, external intention, what is the difference? Well, to put it in a nutshell, what it is that internal, or inner, actually, it's called inner intention, Zach, is when you execute things physically by yourself. Okay, you have a plan to achieve something, and you plan every step in that goal, and then you go and execute it. That's inner intention. Outer intention is when you set a goal, usually a very high level goal, and you just do the first 2-3 steps, and then you let the universe fill in. Let the universe, come up with the next steps. So you basically transfer the responsibility or the ability to do what you want to achieve. You transfer it to the programmer, to the universe, to the whatever you call it. That's why he calls it outer intention. Okay, it's inner and outer intention. So anything that's done for you by the universe that you transfer it there, it's outer intention. And usually that can create things that you can, like, unbelievable. Inner, it's all predictable. Like, you do and you get a result. It's action and reaction. The evil eye, I don't think, has much from transurfing perspective, but what it is, it's our thoughts create reality for us and for others. So when you look at somebody and you are jealous, like, oh, they have this fancy car and I couldn't really make it. I'm so poor. I'm not saying you. I'm just using it as a metaphor, right? Then you have negative thoughts about that person. Oh, they drive this fancy car. Everything goes well for them. Blah, blah. But the other side of it is you are basically cursing them. And because thoughts create reality, it creates for them a bad reality. So that's in a nutshell. And in reality transurfing, it's the same thing, because it tells you that that you when you visualize something and you think about it, it will happen. So this is similar. All right, my dear friends, I have to get ready for this Zoom meeting. There's 25 minutes left, so I will leave you at that. I think that we actually had a very good Sunday live here. I'm just checking if there's anything else. And I'm sure that I'll see most of you in 25 minutes again. And other than that, we'll see you next Sunday. And I wish you the best that can happen within the limitations that the programmer sets for reasons only the programmer knows. Take care and see you soon. Bye.